Imagine this. You are in Canada. It is October. The air is cold, the kind that cuts right through your jacket. You are standing on the runway of the country's most important military airbase. Walking toward a jet is a man. He wears an immaculate uniform. His boots are polished to a mirror shine. He has medals on his chest and the posture of a man who demands total respect. This is Colonel Russell Williams. He is not just a soldier, he is the elite of the elite. He is the commander of CFB Trenton, the hub of Canada's Air Force. He is a man so trusted, so disciplined, and so highly regarded that he was chosen to pilot the private aircraft for the Queen of England and the Prime Minister of Canada. He holds the highest security clearances. He knows state secrets. He is the face of national security. If you saw him in a coffee shop, you would feel an instinct to stand up straighter. You might even want to thank him for his service. He looks like a hero. Now, change the scene. It is 3 a.m., the same night, the same town. But the uniform is gone. The medals are gone. That same man, the one who shook hands with the Queen, is now crouching in the bushes behind a quiet suburban house. He is motionless. He is silent. He is not protecting his country. He is hunting its citizens. He forces a window open. He slips inside. He creeps into a bedroom where a woman is sleeping, completely unaware that a man is standing at the foot of her bed. But here is the detail that will make your skin crawl. He isn't just there to steal money or jewelry. He is there to perform a sick ritual. He opens the drawer. He steals the woman's underwear. And then, he puts it on. He stands in front of the victim's mirror in the dark, wearing the lingerie he just stole, and takes photos of himself. He poses. It sounds like fiction, doesn't it? It sounds like a bad movie script. But this is 100% real. This creates a paradox that our brains struggle to process. How? That is the question that will haunt you for the next minutes. How does a man manage to command an entire military base at 9 a.m. demanding perfection from his troops, and then become a sexual predator at midnight? We are not just talking about a criminal here. We are talking about a master of extreme compartmentalization. Think of his mind like a submarine. A submarine has watertight doors. If one room floods with water, you close the heavy steel door, and the rest of the ship stays dry. Russell Williams had steel doors in his mind. The room with the murders, the assaults, and the perverse fetishes was flooded with dark, dirty water. But he kept that door sealed tight. The rest of his life, his marriage, his career, his reputation, remained perfectly dry and clean. For years, he was winning. He was smarter than the police. He was more careful than the investigators. He was invisible. But every wall has a crack. Even a perfectionist like the Colonel makes mistakes. And his mistake? It wasn't leaving a fingerprint. It wasn't a witness seeing his face. It was something much smaller. A tiny detail that a military strategist should never have missed. In this video, we are going to take you inside the interrogation room. I am going to show you the exact psychological strategy, a game of mental chess, that a brilliant detective used to smash through those steel doors. It is a masterclass in psychology that you will never forget. Prepare yourself. The mask of the perfect soldier is about to fall off, and what is underneath is pure nightmare fuel. Let's go to the scene of the crime. Not a specific house, but a specific community. The area around CFB Trenton and the small town of Tweed, Ontario. It is a place where people leave their doors unlocked. It is a community of military families and hardworking locals. It is safe. Or at least, it was. In 2007, things started to change. It began quietly. People would come home and feel strange. Something was off. A window was slightly open. A drawer was left ajar. Then, women started noticing things missing. Not expensive jewelry, not cash, but underwear, bras, panties. At first, the police were confused. This is a strange crime. It feels like a prank by a teenager. But psychologically, this is the first warning sign of a predator. This is what experts call escalation. Think of violence like a pot of water on a stove. It rarely starts at a boil. It starts warm, then hot, then it bubbles. Russell Williams began as a fetish burglar. He broke into 82 homes. 82. Why? It wasn't just about the objects. It was about control and intimacy. By walking into a stranger's house, touching their most private things, and stealing them, he was saying,
I can get close to you. I can take what I want, and you don't even know I was here.
He was feeding a deep, dark, narcissistic need. He took photos of himself wearing the stolen items inside the victims' bedrooms. Why? Because the photo is a trophy. It allowed him to relive that feeling of power later, when he was back in his office signing paperwork or flying a jet. But the high from stealing wasn't enough anymore. The water in the pot was starting to boil. In 2009, he crossed the line. He attacked 2 women in their homes. He assaulted them, photographed them, and left them traumatized. He covered his tracks perfectly. He wore masks. He left no DNA evidence that could be easily traced back to him because he wasn't in the system. The police were desperate. They brought in profilers. And here is where the investigation hit a wall. Here is the red herring, the false assumption that blinded everyone. The police profile suggested a loner, a social outcast, someone who probably lived in a basement, couldn't hold a steady job, and hated women because he couldn't get a girlfriend. They were looking for a loser. They were scanning the lists of known sex offenders and local troublemakers. They were not looking for the colonel. They were not looking for the man who, just days after attacking a woman, was photographed shaking hands with the Minister of National Defense. They were not looking for a man who was obsessively organized, charming, and wealthy. Williams didn't fit the box. He broke the box. Then, the tragedy struck. The escalation reached its final, deadly stage. First, Corporal Marie-France Comeau, a flight attendant under his own command. He knew her. He used his knowledge of her schedule to target her. He killed her in her own home. Then, Jessica Lloyd, a 27-year-old woman with her whole life ahead of her. He broke into her house, kidnapped her, and ended her life. The community was in absolute panic. Women were sleeping with baseball bats under their pillows. The police were under immense pressure. They had footprints in the snow. They had tire tracks, but they had no name. The killer was a ghost. But remember what I said in part 1? Even a perfectionist makes a mistake. Williams was arrogant. He believed his mask of sanity was perfect. He believed he was smarter than the rural police force. He thought his military discipline made him invincible. But his discipline, his obsession with routine, would actually be his downfall. He was driving a specific car. He was driving on a specific road. And he didn't account for a simple, random police roadblock. The CSI moment was approaching. It wasn't a high-tech satellite that caught him. It was a tire, a simple rubber tire, in the snow. It is February 4th, 2010, 10 days after Jessica Lloyd disappeared. The police are desperate. They set up a roadblock on Highway 37. It's a simple strategy. They are stopping every car, asking drivers, "Did you see anything strange that night?" Hundreds of cars pass through. Nothing, just tired commuters and worried neighbors. Then, a silver Nissan Pathfinder pulls up. The officer leans in. The driver is calm, polite. He identifies himself. Colonel Russell Williams. The police officer probably blinked.
A colonel? Here? This man commands the base down the road. He is a VIP.
The officer notes his name, thanks him, and waves him through. But as the Nissan drives away, the officer looks down at the snow, the tires. Let's pause and look at the ground. To you and me, a tire track is just a pattern in the mud or snow. But to a forensic investigator, a tire track is a story. Think of a tire tread like a barcode at a supermarket. Every manufacturer designs a specific pattern of grooves and ridges to push water away. This is called a class characteristic. It tells you the brand and model of the tire. The police had found distinct tire tracks near Jessica Lloyd's house. They knew exactly what barcode they were looking for. When the officer at the roadblock looked at Williams' tires, he saw a match. The pattern was identical. But that's not enough to arrest a man. Thousands of people buy the same tires. That's just a coincidence. Right? No. Because then they looked closer at the footprints found at the crime scene. The killer had walked through the snow to get to Jessica's window. He left deep, clear impressions. The police made a mold of those footprints. They weren't military boots. They were a specific type of winter boot. And guess what Colonel Williams was wearing when he was stopped? The exact same brand, the exact same size. Now, the math starts to look bad for the colonel. He was driving on the road near the crime scene. He had the right tires. He had the right boots. This is where the science gets fascinating. It moves from class characteristics, the brand, to accidental characteristics. Imagine you buy a new pair of shoes. The sole is perfect. But after a month, you step on a piece of glass and get a tiny cut in the heel. Or you drag your foot and wear down the toe. These tiny cuts and scratches are unique to you. They are your signature. The police didn't have Williams' boots in a lab yet. They couldn't prove the signature cut was there. They only had a strong suspicion. This is the most dangerous moment in an investigation. They suspect the commander of the air base is a serial killer. But think about the risk. If they arrest him and they are wrong, their careers are over. It would be a national scandal. Police harass war hero. They need to be 100% sure. They need to get him into a room. They need to see if his psychological walls will hold up against their evidence. On Sunday, February 7th, the police formulate a plan. They don't kick down his door. They don't send a SWAT team. They call him. They ask him to come down to the station just to clear up some routine questions about the traffic stop. They treat him with the respect due to his rank.
Sir, could you help us out?
Williams agrees. Why? Because of his narcissism. He thinks he is smarter than them. He thinks, I am the commander. I can talk my way out of this. If I refuse, I look guilty. If I go, I can manipulate them. He drives to the police station. He is wearing his Sunday best. He walks in, confident, arrogant, and ready to play the game. He has no idea that he is walking into a trap. While he is sitting in the lobby, waiting, a team of forensic experts is swarming his parked car outside. They are measuring the tires with lasers. They are photographing the tread. And inside the interrogation room, a man named Detective Jim Smith is preparing the battleground. He isn't bringing a gun. He is bringing a chair and a notepad. The physical evidence, the tires and boots, brought Williams to the building. But science can't explain why he did it. Science can't get a confession. For that, you need a different kind of weapon. You need psychological warfare. The door opens. The colonel walks in. The door clicks shut behind him. The most intense chess match in Canadian criminal history is about to begin. We are now inside the interrogation room. It is a small beige box. No windows, just a table and 2 chairs. On one side sits Colonel Russell Williams. His posture is rigid. His hands are on his knees. He looks annoyed, like a busy CEO who is wasting his time with low-level employees. On the other side sits Detective Jim Smith. He looks ordinary. He is wearing a comfortable sweater, not a suit. He speaks softly. He doesn't look like a threat. This is the first move in the chess game. If Smith had walked in screaming, slamming his fist on the table, Williams would have shut down. Williams is a soldier. He is trained to resist aggression. He would have asked for a lawyer immediately. So, Smith does the opposite. He uses a psychological strategy called minimization. Think of it like a business negotiation. Smith treats Williams as an equal, even a superior. He is polite. He offers him water. He says things like,
I know you're a busy man, Colonel. We just want to clear this up.
Smith is making Williams feel comfortable. He is lulling the tiger to sleep. for hours. They talk about the weather, the Air Force, the routine. Williams answers confidently. He thinks he is winning. He thinks, "This detective is stupid. He has nothing on me." But Smythe is slowly, methodically, closing the exits. Then, the tone shifts. Smith leans in. He doesn't raise his voice. He just drops the first bomb.
"Colonel, we have tire tracks at the scene, and we have your tires outside. They match."
Williams doesn't blink. He stays calm. "That's a coincidence," he implies. Smith nods.
"Sure, could be. But we also have footprints in the snow, size 10, distinctive tread. And we just looked at the boots you wore here today."
Smith pauses. He lets the silence hang in the air. This is the pressure cooker technique. Most people panic here. They start shouting. Williams just freezes. His eyes go dead. You can practically see the gears grinding in his head. He is calculating the odds. Tires, plus boots, plus location. The math is no longer working. Now, Smith delivers the masterstroke. He appeals to Williams' narcissism. He doesn't call him a monster. He gives him a way to confess while keeping his dignity. Smith says something brilliant. He frames the murders almost like a mistake, a situation that got out of hand. He says,
"Russell, I think you're a good guy who made some bad decisions. I think things just spiraled out of control. We need to know the truth so we can bring peace to these families. It's the right thing to do."
He is offering Williams a role to play, the honorable commander taking responsibility. Williams stares at the floor. The silence in the room is heavy. It lasts for seconds that feel like hours. Then, the colonel looks up. The arrogance is gone. The mask has slipped. He asks a question that chills the blood. "What is it that you want to know?" Smith simply says, "Everything." What happens next is perhaps the most terrifying part of this whole case. Williams begins to confess, but he doesn't cry. He doesn't scream. He shows no remorse. He speaks in a flat, monotonous voice, as if he were reading a shopping list or giving flight instructions.
"I entered the house. I assaulted her. I tied her up."
He describes the atrocities and tragic end of Marie-France Comeau and Jessica Lloyd without any emotion. He describes the 82 break-ins. He remembers every detail, where he parked, which window he opened, what he stole. This creates a cognitive dissonance for us, the viewers. We expect a monster to sound like a monster, but he sounds like a machine. At one point, Smith asks where Jessica Lloyd's body is. Williams asks for a map. He draws a precise X. He is helpful. He is efficient. He's still playing the good soldier, even as he confesses to being a serial killer. Smith had won. He didn't use force. He used psychology. He dismantled the colonel's life, brick by brick, using his own personality against him. But at the end of the confession, a new reality imposes itself. The mystery is solved, but the horror is only beginning. Because now, they need to open the secret room in his house. They need to see the trophies, and the world is about to discover that its national hero is a tailor-made monster. October 2010, the Belleville Courthouse. The atmosphere inside is suffocating. The room is packed with reporters, military officials, and the families of the victims. There is a mixture of grief and pure, white-hot rage. When Russell Williams enters the prisoner's box, the silence is deafening. But look closely at him. In part 1, we saw him walking to a jet, chest full of medals, radiating power. Now, he is wearing a generic suit. His shoulders are slumped. He looks smaller. The commander is gone. Only the killer remains. He is not fighting the charges. He knows the game is over. He pleads guilty. Not just to the 2 murders, but to 88 charges in total. 88 counts of terrorizing a community he swore to protect. But the true climax of this trial wasn't the verdict, it was the evidence. The prosecution didn't just tell the judge what happened, they showed it. Remember the compartmentalization? The secret room in his mind? The police found the physical version of that room. Inside his house, hidden on hard drives, were thousands of photos and videos. He had documented everything. He had organized his crimes into folders on his computer, labeled with the diligence of a military archivist. The court saw the photos of him wearing the stolen lingerie. They saw the videos of the assaults. The contrast was nauseating. The man in the photos had a dead look in his eyes, a void, where a human soul should be. The judge, Justice Robert Scott, looked at this man who had piloted the Queen of England and said,
"He is a non-entity, a predator."
Then, the family stood up. This is the moment that breaks your heart. Jessica Lloyd's brother Andy stood just feet away from the killer. He didn't scream. He spoke about the empty chair at the dinner table. He spoke about the silence in their house. He looked at Williams and said, "I hope you rot." For the first time, the robot cracked. Williams cried. But were those tears for his victims? Or were they tears of self-pity? Tears for the loss of his reputation, his power, and his freedom? The psychologist's diagnosis suggests the latter. The gavel came down like a hammer. Life in prison. No chance of parole for 25 years. In Canada, this is the maximum sentence possible. But for a man like Russell Williams, prison isn't the worst punishment. The worst punishment is the loss of status. Remember the image we started with? The immaculate uniform, the symbol of honor. After the conviction, the Canadian military did something unprecedented. They didn't just fire him, they erased him. They stripped him of his rank. He is no longer Colonel, he is Mr. Williams. They took back his medals. They removed his name from every plaque and building on the base. And then, in a final symbolic act, the military took his uniforms, the ones he kept so perfect, the ones he used to hide his monster, and they burned them. They incinerated the symbol of his authority. The double life was over. The steel doors of his submarine had collapsed, and the ocean of his crimes had swallowed him whole. He went from being one of the most powerful men in the country to a number in a concrete cell, protected only by solitary confinement because he is now the most hated man in the Canadian prison system. The puzzle is solved. The man who shook hands with the Queen was never really there. It was just a costume, and now the costume is ash. Today, the town of Tweed, Ontario is quiet again. The snow falls, covers the roads, and melts away. The military airbase continues to operate. Jets take off and land, shaking the ground. But something has changed forever. The case of Russell Williams forced us to rewrite the rulebook on trust. We are taught from childhood to trust the uniform, to trust the man with the medals, to trust authority. Russell Williams used that trust as a weapon. He proved that evil does not always look like a monster. It doesn't always live in a dark basement. Sometimes, evil is polite. Sometimes, it is well-dressed. Sometimes, it is the man standing next to the Prime Minister. The scary truth isn't that he was a monster. The scary truth is how well he pretended to be human. If there is a lesson here, it comes from Detective Jim Smith. He didn't catch Williams by being louder or stronger. He caught him by paying attention to the details, the tire tracks, the boots, the subtle shift in body language. He looked past the rank and saw the man. Next time you see someone who seems too perfect, remember the commander. Remember that everyone has a secret room in their mind. The only question is, what are they keeping behind the door? This case is closed, but the question it leaves behind will keep you awake tonight. Who do you really know? In the world of true crime, every move has a consequence. To follow our next deep dive into the criminal mind, hit the subscribe button and join us. This is Criminal Zugzwang, And this was the story of the commander's double life.